The Nicaraguan government announced the Organization of American States' expulsion from its territory and confirmed its withdrawal from the organization. Brazil's Supreme Court warns the armed forces are being persuaded to attack and discredit the electoral process months before presidential elections in October. In Sudan, about 160 people have been killed in recent armed clashes in the Darfur region. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, from the TeleSUR studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. And now we begin. The Nicaraguan government announced the Organization of American States' expulsion from its territory and confirmed its withdrawal from the organization. Foreign Minister Denis Moncada said they are withdrawing from all OAS dependencies and the credentials of their representatives to the organization. The Nicaraguan diplomat pointed out that the OAS violated the rights and independence of the peoples of the Americas through interference, interventionism, and invasions promoted by the government of the United States. In this sense, Moncada emphasized that Nicaragua is a free, sovereign, and independent state.
We communicate that Nicaragua expels the Organization of American States. The people and government of Nicaragua have denounced and continue to denounce the shameful condition of one of the political instruments of intervention and domination of the Department of State of the government of the United States, wrongly and fallaciously called the Organization of American States.
In this context, the Nicaraguan foreign minister ratified the country's official exit from the organization.
We ratify our unwavering decision to leave the Organization of American States as expressed on November 19, 2021, and to confirm our irrevocable denunciation and resignation before this disgraceful, deceitful, and lying dependency of the Department of State of Yankee imperialism. And we also communicate that as of this date, we cease to be part of all the deceitful mechanisms of this monstrosity, such as the Permanent Council, commissions, meetings, or Summit of the Americas.
In Mexico, thousands of feminists protested this Sunday in the capital to demand justice for the alleged femicide of Devani Escobar, an 18-year-old girl found dead in the north of the country. Some groups marched from El Bosque de Chapultepec to Ángel de la Independencia, where they placed tokens for women who are still missing. Hundreds more protested from the Monument to the Revolution, while thousands more protested from the anti-monumental against gender violence in the Juárez hemicycle at the Central Avenue. The outrage has been growing since last Thursday, when authorities found Devani's body in the cistern of a motel in the northern state of Nuevo León, near where the young woman disappeared on April 9th after getting out of a cab whose driver allegedly harassed her.
To be honest, it happens very often because regardless of Devani, we have had several feminicides in 1 month, and well, that is what we fight for. That is why we come here every time these things happen, and also on dates like March 8th. We come here to be heard and to make these things stop.
And Cuba's Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez denounced on Monday that the United States is excluding the Caribbean nation and other countries from participating in the 9th Summit of the Americas, to be held in June in the city of Los Angeles. The head of Cuban diplomacy pointed out that these negotiations are being held in an obscure manner, with the exclusion of Cuba and other member states of the Pan-American Health Organization, contrary to the mandates of the PAHO. The high diplomat added that such maneuvers are an impact on the substantial cooperation and fundamental financing to confront the aftermath of COVID-19. Bruno Rodriguez emphasized the Cuban medical brigades and its work in more than 50 countries, the vaccines against COVID, as well as the cooperation to face natural disasters and epidemics.
Debo denunciar que el
I must denounce that the government of the United States has decided to exclude the Republic of Cuba from the preparations for the 9th Summit of the Americas to be held in Los Angeles from June the 8th to June the 10th, and that it is currently exerting extreme pressure on numerous governments of the region that privately and respectfully oppose such exclusion.
sobre numerosos.
The Foreign Minister, Bruno Rodriguez Parrilla, also detailed that the damages caused by the economic, commercial, and financial blockade of the United States against the island amount to $150.41 billion.
Del año 2021, de los daños
Since the year 2021, the damages caused by the economic, commercial, and financial blockade imposed by the government of the United States against Cuba amount to $150,000 billion.
corrientes totalizan
And representatives of more than 50 nations will participate as of Monday in the Bio Havana 2022 International Congress, an activity that will address issues involving the medical technology. The event, which will be held virtually and will go on in person this Monday, April 25th, will take place at the Convention Center and will last until April 29th. Participants will discuss 10 topics, among them the pandemics, agricultural biotechnology, brain diseases, and cancer immunotherapy. Within the framework, they will present definitive results on research on the impact of Cuban vaccines and drugs in the control of COVID-19. They will also present the results of the clinical study being carried out in the United States with the Cuban vaccine Sinovac EGF against lung cancer. And this Sunday, a new massacre was reported in Colombia that ended the lives of 5 people. This is the 36th massacre so far this year. On this occasion, the event took place in the city of Cartago, located in the department of Valle del Cauca. The Institute of Studies for Development in Peace in the PAS informed that 2 of the victims were women, and of the 3 men, 2 were identified as Jose Germán Chica, 49 years old, and his uncle, Jose Fernando Chica, 56 years old. In addition, 2 minors were also wounded. Meanwhile, according to authorities, armed men arrived at the home of the victims in the neighborhood of La Paz and then fired at all the people who were in the place. And we are still in Colombia, as 1 person died after clashes during a soccer match in the city of Santa Marta. These violent events occurred on Saturday during the match between Unión Magdalena and Junior de Barranquilla as part of the 17th day of the Colombian Soccer League. The match had to be suspended in the 72nd minute of the second half when a fight broke out in the stands, resulting in 1 death, several injuries, and 3 arrests. One of the injured, a fan of Unión Magdalena, identified as Brandon Gustavo Somoza, died in a clinic in the city of Santa Marta, where he was taken after being stabbed several times during the riots, according to local police. We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back to From the South. More informations now. According to Brazil's Supreme Court, the armed forces are being persuaded to attack and attempt to discredit the electoral process months before the presidential elections in October. Judge Luis Barroso, member of the Supreme Court, said that the armed forces have recovered their prestige since the reinstatement of democracy in the country. However, he warned about efforts to politicize the military, which he considered at risk for democracy. Let us recall that President Jair Bolsonaro has repeatedly questioned the electoral process and has openly said that there may be fraud in the next October elections. According to polls, Bolsonaro, who is seeking re-election, will lose the presidential elections to former President Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, who will become a candidate once he recovers his political rights. And after 2 years, carnivals return to Rio de Janeiro. Our correspondent Brian Muir has more details.
Rio de Janeiro's annual Carnival Parade was cancelled for 2 years in a row due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This year, Mayor Eduardo Paes moved the official parades to April, but he refused to authorize or provide funding for the city's traditional street groups called blocos. This weekend, dozens of blocos ignored the mayor and came out anyway, shutting down streets all over the city.
It's a moment of freedom for everyone. The carnival is cultural heritage in Brazil. We were anxiously waiting for this moment, and now we're letting go of all the feelings that built up for the past 2 years.
Carnival is not only an important moment of freedom of expression and political criticism in Brazil, it's an important source of revenue for the tourism industry. In 2020, an estimated 100,000 foreign tourists visited Rio during Carnival. This weekend, the Rio State Tourism Bureau announced that 70,000 foreign tourists had returned to participate in what some call the greatest spectacle on earth.
The Carnival in Rio is energetic. It revives you. Like a phoenix, Rio de Janeiro Carnival is literally a phoenix rising from the ashes. At the moment everyone thought Carnival was through, it rose from the mud and transformed into gold.
Brian Muir, TeleSUR, Rio de Janeiro.
And the French police fired tear gas at demonstrations protesting the results of Sunday's presidential runoff election. Following the outbreak of intense protests in several French cities after the announcement of the results of the presidential elections, hundreds of officers were deployed and they charged demonstrators. The main riots took place in the Place de la République in Paris and surrounding areas, where security forces tried to disperse protesters with tear gas and attacking the demonstrators. Similar events took place in other cities like Reims, Nantes, and Toulouse. Now we address other topics. The Russian Defense Ministry provided on Monday an update on the current special military operation in Ukraine to protect the people of Donbass.
High-precision long-range weapons on the northern outskirts of the city of Kremenchuk destroy fuel production facilities of an oil refinery, as well as storage facilities with oil products, which were to be provided for military equipment to a group of Ukrainian troops. During the night, high-precision air-launched missiles hit 6 Ukrainian military facilities, including 3 strongholds and places of concentration of manpower and military equipment, as well as 3 ammunition depots in Barvinkove and Novodimitrievka districts of the Kharkiv region.
And Russia began mass-producing a new anti-aircraft missile system, the S-500 Prometheus. The announcement was made on Tuesday by Yan Novikov, the general director of the Almaz Antiev consortium, which designed and manufactured the new weapon. In an interview with a Russian magazine, Novikov said the S-500 significantly surpasses previous anti-aircraft systems, the S-400 and its U.S. rival Patriot Advanced Capability 3, and that it will be the cornerstone of Russia's aerospace defense. The new missile is capable of intercepting not only ballistic missiles, but also aerodynamic targets like aircraft and helicopters, cruise missiles, and hypersonic missile warheads. According to official sources, the impact radius of the S-500 is about 600 kilometers, and it will be able to simultaneously detect and shoot down up to 10 supersonic ballistic missiles flying at speeds of up to 7 kilometers per second. And we have more news coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. We continue with other informations. In Sudan, about 160 people are reported to have been killed in recent armed clashes in the Darfur region. The Refugees and Displaced Persons General Coordinator spokesperson in Darfur, Adam Rigal, said violence erupted Friday in Krenk, some 80 kilometers from Jenina, the capital of West Darfur, after 2 Arab tribesmen herders were killed by armed men from the African Mazali tribe. The clashes flared up again on Sunday, leaving at least 98 people wounded. Rigal accused pro-government militias of being behind the attack and asked the United Nations Security Council and the African Union to take measures to protect displaced civilians, and he urged the International Criminal Court to closely analyze the violent situation and the deepening of the crisis. Nigerian emergency services report that the death toll from a late Friday explosion at an illegal refinery in the southern part of the country rose from 80 to 110 on Sunday, as more people have died from injuries. According to a police report, the blast occurred in an illegal site between the southern oil states of Rivers and Imo, and dozens of people with severe burns are still in the hospitals. The area around the explosion site is littered with corpses, burnt-out vehicles, and jerry cans used to scoop up stolen crude and petroleum products. Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari on Sunday described the incident as a catastrophe and a national disaster and vowed to catch the sponsors of the illegal refinery and have them brought to justice. SOS Mediterráneo has reported on Sunday the rescue of 70 people in an operation by the Ocean Viking ship in waters near Tripoli, the capital of Libya in the center of the Mediterranean Sea. As detailed by the NGO through social networks, the rescue was carried out with the inflatable boat, lost pressure, and needed help near Libyan waters. According to the report, all those in need of help have been safely evacuated, including 17 unaccompanied minors. Meanwhile, earlier on Sunday, 17 migrants were found dead after 4 boats sank off the coast of Tunisia. And in the early hours of Monday morning, Israeli occupation forces shelled southern Lebanon after launching a rocket into the occupied territories. According to Israeli media, the occupation forces said on Monday that their forces fired shells at Lebanon after a rocket from an unknown source was fired at the occupied territories overnight. On its part, the UN interim force in Lebanon issued a statement urging calm and restraint from both sides. After several conflicts, Israel and Lebanon remain technically in a state of war, and the UN interim force remains deployed in the southern Lebanon as a buffer between the two countries. And Iran says that the latest round of talks with its regional rival Saudi Arabia was positive and serious, voicing hope for further progress soon. Tehran and Riyadh, with severe diplomatic ties in 2016, held 4 rounds of talks in Iraq between April and September last year, with a 5th meeting last Thursday.
The 5th round of negotiations between Iran and Saudi Arabia in Baghdad was positive and serious and saw progress. If the negotiations are upgraded to first-class political level, it can be expected that progress can be made swiftly in the different sectors of the talks.
Now we move on to other topics. In China, there is an active COVID-19 flare-up in Beijing as death toll rises nationwide. The Chinese National Health Commission said in its daily report on Monday that on Sunday they had 2,666 new confirmed cases and 17,528 asymptomatic locally transmitted carriers. Of the new local cases, 2,472 were reported in Shanghai, 79 in Jilin, 26 in Heilongjiang and Jiangxi, 13 in Zhejiang, 12 in Hunan, and 9 in the inland Mongolian Autonomous Region. Meanwhile, 14 new cases were reported in the capital, Beijing, and local authorities are conducting mass testing to prevent the spread of the outbreak. According to the report, there were 51 fatalities on Sunday, all of them locally infected patients in Shanghai. And the United States continues to be affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. According to data provided by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services through the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, an average of 44,308 new cases of coronavirus are reported daily nationwide. Meanwhile, the weekly average of deaths due to COVID-19 related causes averages 311. According to the same report, there are some 1,642 hospitalizations registered per day. And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.